The goal to your very first hike and taking your first steps outdoors isn't to pick an impressive trail, it is to complete it. So today I want to talk about the most important 5 steps that I took to do mine, and I want to share them here to help encourage you on what to do to feel prepared and safe and ready to go out and take that first solo hike. So step number 1, keeping in mind that our goal is to complete this hike, we're going to choose our trail accordingly. So I would suggest as a beginner that the very first hiking path that you take is a short one. 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile, whatever your comfort zone is. There is no failure at doing this. The goal is just to do it. So I used all trails. You can go on there and pick something, maybe you know something locally. I did go on all trails just to research, but I ultimately ended up choosing one that I had done once before with someone and was fairly open. I knew there was some amount of people there, not super remote, but I also knew it was outside my comfort zone, not something I would normally have done alone. So that's what I would suggest for hike number 1. And then, or step number 1, I should say, step 2 is you want to download that map or that trail to your phone, just in case you lose phone service. Good to have it just in case. And then, obviously you always want your phone charged too. I do that. That's not part of my 5 steps, but charge your phone. And then step 3, you're going to share where you're going with a friend or family member. And I just cannot stress enough, you don't ever want to not do this. It scares me when I see in hiking groups that I belong to that people just went out and didn't share with someone where they're at. If something goes wrong and you go missing, where do people start looking? So kind of think ahead about that. Anyway, so share with someone where you're at, the trail you're going to be taking, the time that you're going to leave. Personally, when I arrive, I text and say I'm heading out now. And then when I get back to the car, I say I'm in the car and leaving. So that way, very safe on all those fronts. Somebody knows where I'm at, what time I arrived, and the expected time to be done. So, and I do cushion my time to be back because I get sidetracked into pretty things like photographing flowers a lot. In fact, every once in a while I joke that I have the ability to turn a really short hike into a long hike because photography is such a passion of mine. Anyway, all right, sidetrack. Okay, so what to carry with you? Pepper spray is going to be totally adequate for that first trip. If you have other things available to you that make you feel safer, take those. If you have a stun gun, if you have whatever you have available to you, there is a plethora of safety items. So, but just to get started and take that first step out, pepper spray is probably adequate. I am a big believer in not making the barrier to entry so enormous that we kind of get that whole analysis or paralysis by analysis situation going. So most women have pepper spray available. It's going to be fine. So do that. If you end up falling in love with it and you're like, yeah, I want to do this more and more and more, which is exactly what I did. I pretty instantly knew this was a new obsession and favorite hobby. And so then I started building onto that and built my backpack, put in all kinds of other extra gear that now I always have with me. But initially it was not necessary to get started. So there you go. That's easy, right? And the other thing you can take with you is water, depending on how far you're going. I didn't take water with me the first time, but that's because I am used to walking without water. If you're going anywhere remote, though, you absolutely should. I was not out in a remote area. There was no risk of falls, really. There's people around, a fair amount of people around on the one I went on. So that wasn't an issue. But if you are choosing a hike that is remote and there isn't people around and there's a lot of risk with it, for sure, go prepared with water. So up to you to decide on that. On an everyday basis, though, I do always carry water on my hikes. I do not on any walks, though, such as this one today. And the next one is really more mental preparation. And that is recognizing you're going to take those first steps still being scared, still being a little fearful, still going, okay, what if there's a bad guy? What if there's this? What if there's that? Those are things that we have every single day as we go about our lives, right? Sometimes just going to the store or filling our car with gas. As women, that's something that unfortunately we don't really have the luxury of completely wiping away and going out without ever thinking about it. So we do this the same way. And I think it's important to know that the risk of something happening is so low. We are at higher risk in town around all of these people. So if we're going out prepared, we've taken the steps we just talked about, it will be okay. It's just becoming comfortable taking those first steps. I often have people say to me, oh my gosh, I can never be that brave. I'm not that courageous. And well, guess what? Neither am I. The only difference is I decided to face those fears in the eye and say, I'm doing it anyway. I'm doing it scared. And what I can tell you, and this is why I'm encouraging you to take a short hike instead of a long hike, because the goal is to complete it. And when you complete it, and what happened for me when I got back to my car was I was so happy. I was almost had tears in my eyes. Like, it was just like, oh my God, I did it. This was terrifying, but I did it. And it was the most powerful and empowering feeling that only a handful of things in my life have ever made me feel that way. And so worth it. I was, I think, a little mentally exhausted because it had taken so much to make myself do it. And it was so funny because the very next morning I woke up going, okay, I want to plan the next one. And just like that, it became something that I still, to this day, can't get enough of. The fear part is pretty much gone. I won't say that there's moments that I get fearful, which is no different than us going about our normal life. It's not really ever with bad guys. It's more like weird things like, okay, dude, am I prepared for this slick terrain? Now I have fears of more like, okay, making sure I stay upright. It's a different type of risk realization. So anyhow, that has been my little personal experience with that, and also why I encourage you to start smaller so that you can, again, just finish it. The goal is to complete it, and that's it. If this has been helpful to you, let me know. Feel free to like and subscribe. And then I have one little bonus tip. And it's kind of a big one, but a simple one, and one that's often overlooked. I think our biggest safety resources that we have is our eyes and our ears. And I can't stress enough how important it is not to block our ability to see and hear. The most common one that we see is wearing headphones or AirPods. So safety is really reliant on us being able to hear what's going on around us and our eyes to see it. So that is a little bonus tip. Go out prepared, and more importantly, you're probably not going to end up needing to utilize that for anything safety related, but the mental and health benefits that start from the inside out on hearing nature, seeing nature fully, and just really being present in this experience is powerful in itself. So anyway, I hope these tips helped, and if you have any you'd like to add, let me know. So I'll be excited if you take your first hike. I would so love it if you'd share it with me. Tell me about it. I want to hear it. I am so excited for you to do this with me.